As with boxing, when it's at the stage, you can't play games
without necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? It's WWE, like I told you.
It's crazy for multiple reasons. One, they have a huge size difference. Tank Davis, he's a lightweight, normally fights at 135 pounds. And Jake Paul, he's a cruiserweight, usually fights at 200 pounds.
Floyd Mayweather has criticized Jake Paul over the no-knockout rule in his upcoming fight against Gervonta, arguing that Jake is more focused on promoting the event and turning it into entertainment than engaging in genuine competition. Floyd believes the fight lacks seriousness, though he acknowledges that both fighters understand the terms they are agreeing to. He emphasized,
like I said before, they know what they're doing. Both brothers.
Wade Clemens took to X to comment, "I think we all knew this would be an exhibition, but the Florida State Athletic Commission saying they will display skill without necessarily striving to win using strikes and blows to the head or other full contact maneuvers probably isn't the best to advertise the fight, lol." Known for his sharp takes in boxing, Clemens criticized the commission for diminishing the perceived intensity by emphasizing that fighters won't aim to win through full contact, suggesting that such framing undermines excitement for fans expecting a real boxing match. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather has always thrived on competition, even outside his official career. Analysts now believe his push for a fight with Mike Tyson is motivated not just by money but by pride and positioning. The upcoming clash between Gervonta and Jake Paul has generated significant publicity, and Floyd appears determined to prove that no one, not even his protege Tank, can outshine him in the spotlight. By setting up a showdown with Mike Tyson, he ensured global attention would shift back to him, overshadowing the spectacle of Jake versus Tank.
Now that there's so many celebrities and so many people that are known, where you can get somebody to and they can sell. That's what kicked off the social media influence boxing that Jake Paul was birthed from. Now we're in a vacuum. There's going to be a lot of conversation about that and continuing to do that. In this particular video, I want to get Floyd Mayweather Jr. and why Floyd Mayweather Jr. would do this. There is the money, there's also the competitive nature of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and him not wanting to have other people think that they're a star than he is. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has not been able to really launch his outside of the sport of boxing, so he continues to do exhibitions. Now, what I think is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is announced it at this point in time with Mike Tyson in order to take advantage of the publicity heading into the Gervonta Davis-Jake Paul fight, which is, I do believe, set for November. So now that they have all the publicity and all that stuff coming out from that, he's going to piggyback on it and then try to have it in the beginning of next year sometime and actually make it a bigger event than Gervonta versus Jake Paul. And it probably will be. And the reason that I say that is because of Mike Tyson.
At the heart of the matter is the issue of legacy. For Mayweather, retired and undefeated, these exhibitions carry little risk, serving mainly as a means to maintain financial gain and reputational prominence. Jake Paul, still new to the sport, leverages such spectacles to build his name. But for Gervonta, the stakes are much higher. Every fight he chooses at this stage can shape his career trajectory, and by prioritizing entertainment over genuine competition, he risks alienating purists who want to see him tested against
What is going to happen in that fight is basically the same thing as what's happening to Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, except for that is a live action fight that is a real competitive fight, but the marketing of it is the same thing, and the fact that somebody is going to pay for it is more likely with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson than it is with even Jake Paul and Gervonta. But I think that it really is an attempt to compete with Gervonta Davis by setting up a bigger fight than Gervonta Davis is having. And now I'm going to tell you something else too. I would not put it past these people.
The Tank versus Jake Paul fight might have been enough to dominate conversations, but Floyd Mayweather's latest move ensures the boxing world cannot ignore him. For decades, he has mastered the art of drawing attention to himself, even if it meant bending traditional boxing norms. His newest maneuver highlights his competitive edge, refusing to let anyone, including Jake Paul with his celebrity status or Tank Davis in his prime, become the central figure of boxing's current era. By signing a fight with Mike Tyson, Floyd has once again positioned himself as the main act, with the combined nostalgia of Tyson's name and Floyd's undefeated legacy creating a far more marketable storyline than Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. The controversy surrounding the Paul Davis fight stems from the fact that it is not sanctioned as an official boxing contest. With the commission refusing to approve it as a professional bout, the fight is relegated to an exhibition, a show rather than a true competitive clash. Critics argue this makes it resemble WWE-style entertainment, where the focus is spectacle over victory. With no knockouts expected and no official stakes on the line, many view the event as a marketing gimmick.
Will face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, "You can't do a fight like that as a pro fight," Shipman said. "It'll be an exhibition fight," end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the two opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statute as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So, the key word here is, key phrase, show or display skills without necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. WWE. Okay? This is WWE, like I told you. These are fights. These are rigged fights. I know Jake Paul gets upset when people say he ain't a real fighter and all that stuff. But I think the Mike Tyson fight pretty much showed everybody that, Mike was pulling back on his punches. And it just was weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Gervonta Tank Davis getting ready to sell his soul to go up in here and move around the ring with Jake Paul. And I don't know what's going to happen on this. I don't know. But regardless of the fact, the fight is going to do well because it's going to be on Netflix. So everybody got Netflix, so everybody's going to watch the fight. So it's going to be like a wrestling event, basically, a fake scripted fight.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi has been particularly outspoken about his frustrations with the Jake Paul vs. Tank Davis matchup, arguing that knockouts only carry weight when achieved against real, evenly matched opponents. In his view, manufactured setups like this cheapen the sport and give Jake Paul undeserved credibility by participating in events that prioritize spectacle over substance. During a debate with Chris Algieri, Paulie emphasized that while casual fans might find the fight entertaining, true boxing enthusiasts recognize that it lacks the integrity of genuine championship bouts, striking at the heart of the issue, authenticity. One of the main reasons this matchup cannot be considered a professional fight is the significant weight difference between the two competitors. The Florida Commission made it clear that such a disparity creates unsafe conditions, approving the bout only as a sparring session with a predetermined framework for decision-making rather than a sanctioned fight. This highlights the structural limits of boxing as a sport, showing that entertainment can only go so far before regulations step in.
Paulie, knockouts, dude. Knockouts. People like knockouts. They don't care if you're knocking out cab drivers. Look at Jake Paul's career.
You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture that though.
You can't manufacture.
To a degree, you can. To a degree. I mean, you can. Yeah, Gervonta legitimately can knockouts. I agree. He can punch, but there's a lot of limited knockout artists though, man.
He's one of the least active punchers in the game with the highest knockout percentage of current heavyweight.
But if he was a real knockout artist,
champion.
If he was a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best of the best. Felix Trinidad was a knockout artist. He was knocking out the best of the best. If you're a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best. How he smokes them. But the way we did when Felix Trinidad was doing it. You know, the way they did when Mike Tyson was doing it. Okay, say what you want about the Mike Tyson era. He knocked out everyone from 1986 to 1989. Everyone got knocked out. Everyone.
Well, by your standard, you could say that Tyson was to a degree manufactured.
No, because he fought everyone that was there. Everyone that was there at that time.
Teddy Atlas will 100% agree with this
with the
because
expense
he
of
would say the guys
Witherspoon.
that we're afraid of
With
him.
the exception of Witherspoon. No, but they all, doesn't matter. He knocked them all out. There was nobody you could say that except maybe Witherspoon, who had contract issues with King at the time. Oh, except for Witherspoon, there is nobody Tyson didn't fight, and he knocked them all out. You can't say like, oh, but if he would have fought that guy, I don't know. No, with Davis, there's guys right now that have been hanging around for years. Yo, you're gonna fight them. The lightweight division was stacked with talent. Even at 130, it had a lot of talent when he was there. Didn't fight almost any of them. So it's not the same thing as the Tyson era. You want to say anything about Tyson era? Fine. It wasn't as high level or something. He still knocked out everyone. There was nobody there in that era that you could say Tyson didn't fight.
Didn't say it was related. I was actually going to say the opposite. Tyson didn't say it all. Turner is a bona fide superstar. And the way that he was, and like you said, he fought everybody.
Up and he knocked out.
And he was a knockout punches. No, of course. So that's a different thing. So is Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, you also have to compare it to your contemporaries. Nobody is selling, dude. Nobody is selling. No one sells tickets. No one has a following. There's very few fighters who actually sell tickets.
There's a push, bro. I was at Showtime. I was at Showtime. There's a push. Bro, but no, but champ, I don't want to, but I got to because
they all push.
There's a push for certain people. I remember being at Showtime and even watching on HBO on TV. They're mentioning Saul Alvarez, who I didn't even know his name was Canelo at the time, as a possible Mayweather opponent when they were talking about Mayweather opponents. I'm like, I knew who the rest of the guys on the list were. Who the hell is this guy? Who's Saul Alvarez? That he's going on putting him in a list with all these other guys that were bona fide champions and high-level fighters.
Broadcaster Aded Oladipo offered a different perspective on the situation, arguing that staging a fight like this while both Davis and Paul are still in their physical prime is a mistake. He believes exhibitions are more appropriate once fighters have passed their peak, as seen in Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Holding such an event now, while both athletes still have meaningful careers ahead, risks distracting them from bouts that could truly cement their legacies. For Oladipo, the issue isn't just about spectacle, it's about timing.
Whether you agree with it or not, Gervonta is considered the #1 lightweight in the world. And it's a division that includes Shakur Stevenson, a lot of young guns coming up. I'm not any more sure if it's going to include Keyshawn Davis, but it's a hot division. He's considered #1 in that division. Like, that's why I kind of find this a bit, I don't know. Like, there are challenges out there for Gervonta. There are big money fights out there for Gervonta. We want to see Gervonta in those fights. Again, I don't know how many fights people want to see AJ in, just to make the AJ Jake Paul comparison. One, as far as I'm concerned, that was Tyson Fury. I don't really have any interest in seeing an AJ in any other more. Whereas Gervonta Davis, I still do want to see him in so many more fights. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. These exhibition things are, like, really and truly, they should all be when your career's done. Like, when you think of Floyd versus Logan Paul, it's done, right? Floyd versus Conor, did he have one more after, or was that it? I can't remember. But it was right at the end, it was done, right at the end, even if it wasn't, right at the end. These guys having these exhibitions in between what is the peak of their careers, kind of weird for me. Very, very weird. And then it isn't even comparable to Ngannou Fury, because at least these guys were the same size. Like, Jake Paul is a 215, 220 pound guy. I don't know what he walks around 135. Gervonta, guessing he walks around about 155.
Reports have revealed that Gervonta Davis cancelled his planned rematch with Lamont Roach to pursue the fight against Jake Paul, a decision that raised eyebrows as it highlights how spectacle can sometimes take precedence over genuine sporting rivalries. Roach would have represented a meaningful challenge capable of advancing Davis's career in a traditional sense, but instead, he opted for the higher-paying yet less significant option. This trade-off between money and legacy is becoming increasingly common in modern boxing, prompting critics to warn that it could set a dangerous precedent for future fighters. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis matchup is the clash of attributes. Jake holds a natural size and power advantage, capable of dominating physically if given the chance, while Davis brings elite skill, speed, and years of professional experience at the highest level. This dynamic makes the outcome unpredictable. Can skill overcome size, or will raw power overwhelm technical mastery? Such contrasts are rare in traditional boxing due to weight classes.
So breaking news, Jake Paul will be taking on Tank Davis in an exhibition on November 15th in Atlanta, Georgia, live on Netflix. And this is for multiple reasons. One, they have a huge size difference. Tank Davis, he's a lightweight, normally fights 5 pounds. And Jake Paul, he's a cruiserweight, usually fights at 200 pounds. So there's a good 60 to 65 pound difference here. It could also mean that Tank Davis is no longer interested in competing for titles anymore and is cashing out of boxing. A lot of talks that Tank is nearing retirement this year, and he was supposed to rematch Lamar Roach after their first fight went to a draw. But instead of chasing the rematch, instead he takes the Jake Paul fight for money. So maybe this is Tank's last, or one of his last fights. Same for Jake Paul. He just got ranked number 14 at cruiserweight after beating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So fighting other ranked contenders or top guys at cruiserweight. But instead, he's taking a money fight. But I do expect to go after each other. Even though it is an exhibition, I don't think it'll just be a sparring match. I do think they'll try a decent amount. But Tank, obviously, is a lot more skilled. Jake, he has a lot more size. But you guys let me know who you got.
Former heavyweight Eddie Chambers weighed in on the debate with a crucial reminder: underestimating Gervonta Davis would be a mistake. While Jake Paul's size advantage is clear, Chambers emphasized that Davis possesses skills far beyond Jake's level. A smaller fighter with superior technique can still dismantle a larger opponent, especially one lacking refined boxing ability. His warning reframes the matchup, shifting the focus from a simple size mismatch to a test of whether Jake can contend with elite-level boxing intelligence.
That something like this can happen, but this is social media, this is what it's created. There's a lane that Jake Paul has created. Honestly, I'm not mad at him for it. Gotten a lot of fighters and, actual fighters some shine. It also has done for women's boxing a lot, so I'm not mad at him for what he's been in boxing created. This is a little crazy. This is a little crazy. And a lot of people will say, Tank is too small. Let me tell you something. Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is gonna feel something from it. And it ain't gonna be easy to hit it. Got boxing IQ. He may not sound like an intellectual guy when you hear him talk, but he knows the ring inside and out.
What stands out most in all of this is how effectively exhibitions function as business ventures. Mayweather has already proven the model: take fighters from different eras or backgrounds, market the bout as an event, and capitalize on the spectacle. Jake Paul has followed this blueprint successfully, while Gervonta Davis now risks stepping into the same territory. The promotional machine behind these events thrives on controversy, debate, and social media hype. Whether audiences love or hate the matchup,
aside from make it extremely ugly by grabbing him and probably trying to throw him to the ground, I don't know what else, bite him, I don't know, but I mean, the skill level alone. Now, of course, there is a size difference, a height difference, and all that, but just gonna struggle so much landing a shot. It's just gonna look bad. To me, this is the way I see it. It's gonna look bad. Tank is gonna be too fast. And the punch, I believe, I'm not saying it's gonna knock him out or, but he's gonna feel.
Are you surprised at the backlash that Tank is getting?
No, yeah. What is going on with why are they mad at the fighters for this?
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.